what I would really love to explore more to give people a more vivid understanding of what sexuality can be like, so they can imagine it more, because it's very, from my experience, if I hadn't engaged and experienced it myself, everything we've gone through so far, even though it's been amazing and really accurate, it's not, I still wouldn't fully understand what the experience can be like. And so I'd love to give like a little example of how pleasure has changed for me, and I'd love for you to then comment to that and give some other examples. So
Absolutely.
Alyssa had prescribed to me a self-pleasure practice, which essentially means masturbation. And instead of masturbating to porn or visualization of what I would be physically attracted to, there's other prompts to give me the feeling of pleasure in my body that actually makes me aroused and erect and feeling pleasure in my body, which is breathing. So like breathing and sighing, listening to nice music at the same time, actually moving my body and squeezing certain muscles in my body, my PC muscles. And then this visualization of energy being put throughout my body. And it's kind of like a practice of self-pleasure that's not just, okay, cool, because what masturbation used to mean to me is ejaculation. It's like a stress release. It's like, I'm going to look at some hot chicks or visualize some hot chicks or have sexual intercourse with my partner. We're going to have sex and then I'm going to ejaculate and then I'm going to feel like a release. And then when I've started doing this self-pleasure practice and a lot of breathing, a lot of visualization, moving through the body, it's like, and also pleasuring myself sexually, masturbating, but without the ejaculation, I'm feeling the pleasure, but it's being extended, and I'm actually taking that excitement away from just my genitals and moving it throughout my body, so that that same pleasure that was just focused straight in my lingam or my penis is actually being put throughout my body, and I'm experiencing that full pleasure, and that in itself is like usually what in a sexual experience lasts for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. But that same experience gets extended, and I can actually, with no physical stimulus, no fantasy, no visualization, no porn, get really excited in my body and feel really connected to myself without needing just the surface layer things at all, and it feeling amazing in my body. So that's like what my experience has been. I'd love for you to talk to that and how that's different and give people even greater depth of understanding.
Thanks for sharing your experience. I love it.
No worries. Thank you for giving me the experience.
And I would say that Tantric sexuality, as we were saying before, it activates different layers of our being. Through moving energy, we can feel pleasure throughout the whole body. And we also feel touch in our emotions, so we feel more connected. All our body feels an instrument of pleasure. So it's almost like our genital have expanded, and there is a sense of ecstasy and bliss that come as well with it. Moreover, when we start to really move the energy, we start to shift our consciousness. And for, on the practical level, if we want to talk more like how sexuality is usually talked to,
please.
Women, might go from a more clitoral orgasm and really focus around the genitals to having multiple orgasms. I've recently just made a YouTube video of the 9 types of female orgasms. And
exciting.
So release, it's very soon. And so it's, like women can activate so much more pleasure within. And it's not this kind of like release, because the energy is flowing. So it's a full body experience. And I also want to say that this is kind of like when we feel, all the pleasure and it's amazing. But in a way, Tantra really embodies sexuality as a healing and profound experience. So it have happened for me that I'm starting to engage in a sexual experience with my partner. Instead of feeling pleasure and noticing some tension or some contraction in my yoni, which is the Sanskrit for vagina. And what in the past I would do, I would keep going and tense up a little bit and just suck it up and maybe it will go away. And what I'm doing now, I will have maybe a little ritual or a healing massage to release the tension, or I might go into some emotional release. And these in turn would help me feeling more pleasure in the future. But just for saying that when we start to engage in tantric sex, that doesn't mean that all the time is that like it's always the most pleasurable thing, but we're always
Yes.
real. So we always will go back to that in a way, but we
Yes.
want to be present with what's here. So we don't have an attachment, an agenda. And sometimes I start to make love with my partner and it become a tantric massage and healing experience. Or we
Yes.
become a genital worshiping because we feel disconnected from our genitals. And that's Tantra, and that's sacred sexuality, and that's embodying it in its fullest, not only to receive the pleasure, but to really honoring that energy.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think this is such a great time to talk about the benefits of this. And because you've just touched on a real deep, profound benefit. And I really feel like it's actually similar to transcendental or Vedic meditation in the sense that people will go to do tantric meditation, people will go to do Vedic meditation or some kind of meditation to ease the problem of stress. But ultimately what they're gaining is energy. But then what the deeper benefit is that they're expanding the power of their mind, the function of the mind known as the witness, which gives them awareness over their own stretch points. It creates space for gaps or traumas to come to the surface, things that can create opportunity for them to evolve to come to the surface. And that awareness is the stronger, in my opinion, it is the deeper benefit. And people go to meditate because they want to feel bliss, but all the time what it does is it brings up crap and to the surface, which gives you the chance to heal it and then become more whole within yourself, more confident, more strong, more open, more loving, more powerful, all of these beautiful benefits so that you're a more full person and more fulfilled. And
Yeah.
people would come to learn Tantra so they have a better sex life. But then ultimately they're just learning what a beautiful metaphor of being the real, raw, authentic, vulnerable, truthful version of yourself in the most open and vulnerable space that you'll be, completely there naked, merging with another human. You're completely seen. And if you can be completely seen, open, honest, and authentic in that situation, then when you go to embrace a business, like go to a business meeting, and someone says something you disagree with, instead of holding on to it, you're like, hang on a second, I cried last night during lovemaking because that's what came up for me. And now I can at least give my honest perspective in this business meeting. Or if I'm on a sales call, or if I'm doing a video, you can bring vulnerability because you're embracing authenticity in the most vulnerable way and the most vulnerable time. I think it's super powerful for building of confidence and self-worth and self-expression.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah, what you said. I think it's very, very important to be authentic, to be real. And as you said, people come to learn how to last longer, how to unlock orgasms, and that, it's going to happen. But most of the time, through learning that, as you said, we expand our awareness and our connection. And as we do that, we also need to feel unpleasant emotion, past trauma, or tension, contraction, limiting belief, doubts that we have on ourselves, on our sexuality, that we took in growing up in our upbringing. And so we really need to face it all. And so when clients come, I'm like, yes. And the path is going to be challenging at times. And that's okay. It's part of the healing.
Yeah.
So like, when clients come to my session, I'm like, here, you're emotional welcome, because most likely you're going to cry or feel upset. If not today, the next meeting. And that's part of the healing, because we cannot just numb the unpleasant. When we numb ourselves, we numb the pleasant and the unpleasant. And so to reach this bliss, we also need to feel the crap that in the past we avoid. But the good news is that in general, the crap is like a wave. So when it's like a tunnel, like when we go through the tunnel, then there is the other side.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the other way, when we hold on to it, we never release it. So we are kind of like be okay, but in a more surface level. And we can't have this